better?
And my daughter's telling me that I have to make another birthday cake. Which is probably true. No, she only eats angel food cake. That is the only kind of cake that she will eat. She messaged me about seeing it everywhere.
Hello. Great. Nice to meet you. Great. Where were you? So you go to Penn, or where'd you go? Penn State. Wow. Two great universities. Yes. So you went, what is your field?
Higher education, administration,
Wonderful.
Who supported our idea about the conference, the topics, and they decided to choose Georgia as the host country for this ENAM conference. Throughout the year, we'll have more interesting and more activities for our alumni, and I would like to ask you to be more engaged and involved and stay in touch with us. We're glad to have you here, and thank you for coming. Now, I would like to give floor to His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador Kelly, for welcoming remarks.
Well, thank you very much, and welcome to the 10th semi-annual ENAM conference. Of course, I'm very pleased to have it here in Georgia. I first became acquainted with Georgia because I was a participant in an exchange program. This was one of the very early exchange programs between the U.S. and the Soviet Union way back in 1976. I came down here, and it was really very much a cultural exchange that changed my life. I mean, I wouldn't be here today, I think, if it weren't for that experience that I had those many years ago. And I really appreciated the transformative potential of exchange programs, and I really saw how critically important they were back in the days of the Cold War in particular. I saw that there was such misunderstanding between the people of the Soviet Union and the people of the United States, and I saw that as something that really needed to be addressed. And when I went into the Foreign Service 32 years ago, I really came into it with the express purpose of trying to build bridges and increase understanding between countries, and specifically between the United States and the Soviet Union. So my first job was in Moscow. I was the exchanges officer. This was 1987, and it was a time of real change too in the Soviet Union, time of glasnost and perestroika. We had about 50 exchange participants at that time through Fulbright and IREX. And in my 2.5 years there, the exchange participants went from about 50 to about 500 because we started this gigantic high school exchange program. It's not called the Flex program. So we did try and we made an investment in sending people because we saw that it would increase understanding about the United States. But I have seen the exchange programs really develop into something different. And I think really a lot more important in that it's not just a matter of transforming lives, that's also important as it was for me. It's also, I think, a matter of building like-minded networks. So that's what this is. That's what we didn't have really in the 1980s. We didn't, well, of course, we relied on telex and then we could even fax machines in the late 80s. And now you're all connected. And this kind of electronic connection is important. But I also believe in personal connections, and that's what these conferences really do. And so we are very happy to support this in many ways. We make investments in networks like this. And, we're very happy to facilitate conferences like this. And so welcome. I hope you stay connected. I think it's great that there are 10 countries represented here. It's not just the U.S. and Georgia, but you really are creating a real matrix of connections. And I think that's really important in our world today, for you to trade ideas, for you to find solidarity in causes. And that's important. Democracy has no borders now. So welcome, and I wish you a very fruitful day. Thank you.
Now, I would like to ask Mr. Massimo Cucusi for his.
Here we go. Mr. Ambassador, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, on behalf of ENAM, let me thank you for your hospitality and congratulate IPAC, in particular my friend David, on the perfect organization of our 10th semi-annual conference. It's a true pleasure for us to be here with you again in Tbilisi to celebrate a new achievement of the U.S. Government Exchange Program Alumni Association of Georgia, one of the most active members of the European Network of American Alumni Associations. Now, the point of my opening speech at this conference is not merely to give credit to those who have found the time, among their heavy work and study commitment, to dedicate themselves to organizing our event with available support from the U.S. Embassy. I believe that everyone in this room expects and deserves more. Every time I have the privilege of speaking on behalf of ENAM, and hence on behalf of 56 organizations, spanning Europe to Eurasia, Portugal to Azerbaijan, Norway to Cyprus, if you wish, I never tire of reminding those listening to me who we are and what we stand for. This is a never-wasted effort, since those who might only be paying casual attention to the word alumni found in the name of our confederation may think that we are founded and remain together just in order to occasionally remember and celebrate a wonderful life experience, such as the International Digital Leadership Program or any of the other international exchange programs of the State Department. To put it another way, one could assume that we live this experience of friendship and communal work with an eye to the past, like a type of association for veterans who, together with a flag of their own country, have the stars and stripes close to their hearts. In fact, just because of the sincere affection and the great deal of gratitude we feel for the United States, we have the ambition and the will to do much more. In recent days, we have been particularly convinced of the extent to which the not so encouraging outcomes of the G7 meeting, which was recently held in Italy, have highlighted the difficulty career diplomacy has in overcoming the misunderstandings and sometimes even the distrust that the change of protagonist on the international scene can often produce. Our mission and our organization are based, however, on wholehearted adhesion to the principle of public diplomacy that we learned and seen put into practice in the United States during our stay. In particular, we understand that the basis of every solid relationship between peoples is mutual knowledge, and that this is the indispensable prerequisite for better understanding and for trusting one another in times of difficulty and uncertainty. I have learned to love and respect America because I got to know the Americans. And in particular, because not only I was honored to meet ambassadors, politicians, and other personalities, but also, and above all, because I had the opportunity to meet many people like myself and to speak to them, getting them to tell me more about their lives, their dreams, their fears. Sorry. I was able to comprehend where the great force that moves America resides, what its indomitable spirit is, what meritocracy, multiculturalism, freedom of thought, and initiative mean. Of course, I didn't experience a perfect society, simply because that may not exist. I experienced the people who are friends with me and together with whom I also adhere to the fundamental values of freedom and Western democracy. One of these is the freedom to disagree, to talk without fear in order to explain one's reason, and not to be persecuted for one's ideas. Honestly, in a world such as ours, in which this is not the heritage of all, this seems to me a good reason to build an ideal bridge across the Atlantic. A bridge that facilitates the passage of ideas, that brings people together, that always keeps the two sides connected, especially when the storm of politics makes dialogue from one side to the other of the ocean more difficult. This idea of ours is not destined to wither away because it is based on friendship between our people and respects governments and institutions, regardless of who finds themselves representing the will of the citizens. This is also the reason we are together, and more than being members of our national associations, we feel to be part of a large global community, the state alumni community. In our countries, in our towns and cities, we strive to change people's lives for the better, to help young people plan their future, to create opportunity for exchanges and enrichment for businesses, universities, and citizen organizations. In so doing, we treasure the wonderful American experience that we have had, as well as the fantastic network of skills, knowledge, and experience that an organization as large as ours possesses. Obviously, there are many distinguished people among our alumni. Many have prestigious roles in the economy, the media, the government. In spite of this, I was not refused a single request for collaboration, for mentoring of a talented young person, or even for a simple advice. None of us is ever too busy to give 1 hour of our time to our wonderful common cause and to the organization that defend it every day in Europe and Eurasia. For this reason, above all, I am proud to serve the European alumni and their organization. For this reason, above all, I feel at home together with you today, and I thank you for your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Ambassador for opening remarks. And now we'll have 5-minute break and we'll start our first panel. I'll be the moderator of the first panel. I will tell you more about our new interactive